Hello and welcome back to another SimplePlanes 2 showcase. Today we have water, car and plane engines, and even wing vortexes to talk about, so let's go. First of all is the car engine, which yes we've talked about before, but this is even more, and it's actually insane. There are now many different ways to customize the engine, and these will also change it visually, for example adding superchargers. First of all we have superchargers. This adds the twin screw supercharger. Then we have various types of air intakes, the OEM air intake, the cold air intake, and the ram air intake. These look incredibly good and I can't wait to see some of the amazing car builds that are made with these. And of course all of these different changes you make to the car engine are going to affect performance and I assume sound as well. And the second part I was talking about, which is even more insane, is the aircraft engines. First of all, they explain all of the new ways that the engines can be used. For example, the aircraft engine can use the powertrain system, so it can actually drive a car, and a car engine can actually drive a plane, which is super neat. So I guess you could make a Sherman with an aircraft engine, which I guess makes sense. And you can even power multiple propellers with a single engine, which is super cool as well. This new procedural system for engines is just insanely cool. And adding on to this, there are now many different types of aircraft engine. We have the flat aircraft engine, which you would tend to see on smaller trainer aircraft. The liquid cool V engine, which is inspired by the Merlin engine on the P-51 Mustang, which makes me really happy because I love the Merlin engine, especially on the Spitfire, not just the Mustang. And of course the radial engine, which you'll of course see on the US Navy aircraft from World War II. And it even says here you can like add 1 billion cylinders. You can have a 27 cylinder engine, which is just crazy. I guess maybe you could use that as a ship engine? That'd be cool. Actually, they really should add a ship engine. That'd be really great, because ship engines are absolutely massive and very cool. There's now a new propeller assembly system with new procedural properties such as hub scale and twist angle, and the physics simulation for the propellers themselves are now much more detailed, with the propeller being broken down into sections and calculated that way. This really makes me think that SimplePlanes 2 is going to be a very good educational tool depending on how they want to use that, and I can't wait to see it. Another really cool and impressive feature that works even in multiplayer with SimplePlanes 2 is downloading, saving, and loading crafts in the flight scene, and it's almost instant. This is because they don't actually unload the flight scene, making load times basically non-existent. This is really great, especially in multiplayer when you want to show off multiple crafts, and it's a huge improvement over their previous games. Next up we have a few different sound related showcases. First of all is the UI. As you might have noticed in the SimplePlanes 2 playtest, all of the UI has different sounds to it, and they are really nice sounding. With how the UI system is visually now, the sounds really add to it. The sounds that every part in the game emits have also been updated, with some receiving entire makeovers and others having minor changes. The cannon, which is one of said parts, can actually change its sound depending on its caliber and other parameters. And something you may have also noticed whilst playing the demo, which is really cool, is the stock aircraft, when you close the doors and open the doors on them, will actually change the sound, so it sounds like you're actually inside a closed cockpit, which is super cool. This was done using funky trees, so it's not inherent to the part itself, but this is a really cool feature and I'm glad they added it. There are also brand new environment sound effects, with water having some really nice sound effects, whilst also muffling the sound of other parts, and the giant caves of course will have some reverb. Next up we have some significant changes to water compared to SimplePlanes, and it is a night and day difference. In SimplePlanes 2 they use something called Crest, which is made by Wave Harmonic, and this tool significantly improves wave and water physics as well as their graphics. In the visualization here you can actually see how the water affects a craft, with all these points being areas that the craft is being physically affected by the water. This means that no matter what type of craft you make, the waves and water are going to dynamically move your craft in a very different way every time. And as you can see, as the waves go up and down, so does the craft. It looks really cool. The wave size actually dynamically changes depending on the depth of the ocean you're in, the weather, and how far out into the ocean you are. And you can also see that there are some insane visual changes compared to SimplePlanes 1 as well. It's no longer just a solid color, there's depth to it, there's the little frothy wave bits, and there's even caustics underwater. It looks so good. In SimplePlanes 2 there's lots of different types of races, from air races to car races of course, and you can play all of these races in multiplayer. When you're in a multiplayer server, you can simply start a session and wait for people to choose if they want to join or not. Yes, they have the choice, which is obviously a great idea. You can choose the number of laps and then start the race. The races consist of going through these little rings you can see, and if you miss a checkpoint or a crash, you can respawn your craft at the last checkpoint you got through. With you being able to do this in multiplayer as well as single player, I can see this being super fun, just messing around with friends, crashing into them in the multiplayer races. SimplePlanes 2 comes with an updated targeting system allowing you to identify allies and enemies. Enemies of course appear in red, allies in blue, and any neutral craft will appear in green. There's also new combat activities to allow you to test out the new weapons and systems in SimplePlanes 2. In Deathmatch, you need to blow up the most amount of enemy vehicles to get the highest score to win. This one would definitely be a lot of fun with multiplayer, but there's also another one. This one is Bomber Intercept. In this game mode, bombers will try to blow up the airport, and they come with escorts to try and deter you from destroying them. This is multiplayer compatible and adaptive. That means that depending on the amount of players that join the activity, more bombers and escorts will be spawned to account for it. There are two other completely new and exciting activities in SimplePlanes 2. These are Orb Snatcher and Mech Invasion. Orb Snatcher is a multiplayer based activity. You need to collect orbs that spawn in the sky, and as you collect these orbs your craft will gain mass and drag, which will slow you down. You then need to deposit these orbs into a set gate location. However, you can also steal and have your orbs stolen. This seems like it would be a really fun game with a lot of people, and the other one, called Mech Invasion, is very interesting. Mechs will come out of the sea around Driftwood Island and attempt to invade it. They have energy shields and guns, and you need to take them down. I assume this activity is also scaled for multiplayer, so hopefully more mechs for more players. The mechs in the video are currently a placeholder, so I can't wait to see what is actually going to come. And yeah, it looks like a really fun game mode. SimplePlanes 1 only had 5 music tracks, which actually shocks me because I thought there was a lot more than that from what I can remember, but I guess not. And as many people turned off and muted the music in SimplePlanes, like myself, because it's so repetitive, there's now 15 songs for SimplePlanes 2. The songs are all composed by a 2-man band called Fat Bard. They also made some of the songs for Juno and Your Origins, as well as many other game soundtracks. The songs in SimplePlanes 2 are dynamic, meaning depending on what you're doing, if you're just flying around or fighting someone in a battle, it will transition between the songs seamlessly, and that's really nice. I'll only share a few seconds of the music in this video in case I can somehow get copyrighted by playing it, but I think it really fits the game's style and I really like it. In SimplePlanes, when a propeller spins fast enough, it's replaced with a 2D image to make it look like it's going really fast around. However, this propeller style isn't very desirable because from the side you basically can't see it, and it doesn't really interact with the lighting correctly. So in SimplePlanes 2, they use a system developed by Philip in Juno and Your Origins, which allows for much more realistic 3D motion blur on the propellers. As you can see, these look much better from the side, and they have much better lighting. And this system adapts to how the propeller is being used with its RPM, its shape, and its pitch. They also applied this to the helicopter rotors, which is of course very nice. And of course this is one of those really nice quality of life features that I really like. In SimplePlanes 2, there's now a much more complex and realistic wings physics model. This model is called Spanwise Flow, and it allows your planes to have a more realistic performance. This includes wings getting less lift towards the tips of the wings. In SimplePlanes 1, the whole wing would produce the same amount of lift, which obviously doesn't make much sense. Stalling is now more realistic because different parts of the wings will stall at different times, which will not only allow for more smooth stalls, but also more realistic ones. Induced drag also makes an appearance, which is extra drag because of the lift of your wings. This, for example, means that larger wingspan aircraft will have, of course, less induced drag, which will make it more efficient. So I can imagine that many aircraft are going to go through different wing designs just to try and get the most performance out of them, especially for fighters, for example. All of these upgrades make delta wings possible, which they weren't really possible in SimplePlanes 1 without some janky workarounds, and that's really awesome. I love delta wings, especially some of the Swedish variety. They also decided to include the drag visualizer, which was originally a dev tool, but they decided to include it because the playtesters liked it, and I really like the look of this too. I'm really glad they didn't just can this thing. Next up we have wingtip vortices. Yes, SimplePlanes 2 gets wingtip vortices. The effect is made by Nikki, who by the sounds of it meticulously researched the way to get this implemented into the game. There are many different factors that cause these wingtip vortices to work, and the system seems to be pretty sophisticated, but they look pretty good and they fit the game, and obviously this is something that people have been asking for years, so it's really nice to have these finally. This is probably one of the nicest effects they could have added other than some sort of vapor cone. So that's everything for this showcase. You might have noticed many of the things I covered at the end were stuff that were already shown in the playtest, which we've already played, of course. And that's because I started editing this video over 2 months ago, so that was before the playtest. And I'm sure any mobile players or anyone who couldn't play the playtest will enjoy this anyway. So with that, I'd like to thank our members, William Brinkman, Edu2089, Sean Plays Too Much, Carnassa, Pedro, and AdamCat for supporting the channel as always, and I'll see you in the next one.